Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Coffee and Football, presented by John Donovan and Longhorn Wealth Management Group. I'm your host, Blake Monroe, where I'm joined each and every day by Jerry Hamilton. And once again, today we have Rod Babers filling in for Bobby Burton. Rod, good morning. Thank you as always.
Glad to be here, brother. Thanks for having me.
I'll give the Bobby update. His daughter is officially graduating from college today, so he is up at University of Penn. So congrats to Abby on her college graduation, and he'll be back soon.
That's right. And we did start at 8:15 on the dot, Charnel. I promise I delivered today, so there you go. But tell us where you're checking in from, what you're drinking. Get your questions in as well. We'll get to those here in a little bit. But first, guys, I want to bring up, it was a very successful weekend on the 40 acres. And John Bianco put this out. He says, Texas baseball, of course, won the SEC championship. Men's tennis advanced to the Final Four. Softball stampedes through the Austin Regional on their way to the Supers. Texas track and field came away with 3 SEC individual titles. And women's golf looking to advance to match play at the NCAAs.
Yeah, throw that Scheffler one in there too. That Scheffler had a good weekend. I think that reflects well on Texas sports. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. We talked about it on Friday as well. Looks like Texas is, firmly in the lead to get another Director's Cup. If everything just kind of stays on track right now, just reflects how well the athletic department is doing overall right now. All the sports seem to be thriving in their own way.
Yeah, no doubt. And there you see, and we'll have fun with A&M in a second because it's like the total opposite weekend, right? It's like, wow. It's amazing that A&M lost to a team that was called the Flames and a big flame out. But anyways, we'll get to that in a second. But Texas, look, I mean, if you weren't already as hated as anybody in the SEC, you're going to be now, Rod. I mean, you come in year one and is it safe to say dominated in sports?
It's close, man, to domination. Yeah.
Look, it's heaven forbid if Texas would have made a field goal in the SEC championship game. I mean, to win that, right? It's like, but dominate as far as when you come into a new conference and the question was, are you going to continue your athletic dominance? Oh, you're going to end up running away with the Director's Cup, which some people care about, some people don't, but it's kind of like a recruiting class ranking, man. If you're number one, you're getting a lot of really good results. You're getting a lot of really good players, right? So you're doing a lot of good things. And the other thing is going into the SEC, and it's kind of doing some unexpecteds. That's kind of the way I look at this. Unexpecteds in that Jim Schlossnagle wins the SEC regular season baseball title in year one.
Yeah.
I know that Bob Bowman is a great coach and Eddie Reese had a great program, but Bob Bowman went to a new school, won the national championship in year one. That's been done a few times. That's hard to do. Then Sarkisian in football first year, SEC championship game, semifinals of the college football playoff and they got there over some really storied SEC programs. So it's been one of those years where it's going to really make you hated. And I think Texas responds well to that. And the fan base kind of embraces that, embrace the hate, as Kevin Eltoff said. So it couldn't have gone better for Texas outside of making a field goal in an SEC championship game, realistically, right? I mean, basketball, but Texas athletics, year one in a new conference, and I think it's what's the most talented conference in America. Kudos to CDC and Texas athletics. And now we get to the other end of the stick.
Yeah. Well, did Schloss say that it was tougher to win an SEC title than a national title, and folks got a little bit offended by that?
Yeah. Statement? Well, no, it's like what Jay Billis said. Jay Billis during basketball season, it's going to be harder to win the SEC championship and tournament championship than it is going to be to win the NCAA tournament. And he took some heat for that, but you know what? SEC had 2 teams in the Final Four, the most teams in the tournament, and then they won the national championship. And it's always a battle, so people kind of took it out of context what he was saying. Schloss pretty much said the same thing is what Jay Billis said during basketball season.
Look at my man CJ. See, that's beautiful right there. Sums it up for you.
Woo!
For those listening, CJ Vogel last night tweets, Texas A&M baseball was the preseason #1 team in the country and finished 14th in the SEC. They'll most likely miss the NCAA tournament. Meanwhile, Texas A&M softball entered the postseason as the #1 team in the country and just became the first top seed ever to fail to get out of their own regional. Unbelievable stuff.
That is an unbelievable combination. It really is, because baseball was ranked #1, and it was off of obviously the talent, and they made a hire to keep the talent instead of probably hiring the best coach they could have for their program. So that kind of went up in flames. And now, barring a run in the SEC tournament, now you have softball, which really wasn't expected to be there. So they have a great regular season, and they get the fan base excited about something after it's been a rough year. And then the Liberty Flames come to town, and you have a flame out. So it's like it's almost like it couldn't have gone worse in a weird way, Rod. I mean, even Buzz Williams had arguably his best team he's had in College Station, and Texas won 2 of 3, and Texas fired their coach. I mean, That's like boom, like everything. And then football, the build up, and this is what I want to get to, because this is where the real pressure is about to start now. After what happened for A&M athletics this season to this point, all the build up to the A&M Texas game, Texas is up 17-0 in that game. Stadium is quiet. But now, after this season of athletics that Texas has had versus Texas A&M, Rod, how much pressure's on Mike Elko next year? I mean, there's a ton of pressure on Mike Elko.
He's got to go on the road to do it too. Yeah, last year you had the advantage of being at home to do it. Now you got to go on the road to try to do it. Yeah, man, that's the Aggies. I can't. Listen, the Aggies have had some disappointing, sports seasons. Texas first year in the SEC has to be toward the top of that list, and it kind of feeds into and I always said it was kind of paranoia, but there might be something. There's something to it when you're in the same conference, but. Texas, there are a lot of Texas and Texas A&M fans that believe Texas and Texas A&M can't be good at the same time. Like right. One, if one's going to be good, it will be at the expense of Aggie tears, right? Longhorns going to be good. We need Aggie tears to help fuel our success. And Aggies, I think a lot of Aggie fans believe the same thing. But I've always said, if you're when they were in separate conferences, it is possible for both to thrive. In the same conference, though, to be the two big dogs in the same state. Even though you do have nationalized recruiting now, so you don't have to, be wholly too invested in the state. It does seem like, that one is up, then the other is down. One is up, and maybe there is something to that paranoia. That listen, there's only been one season in the history of the football programs where they've both had double-digit win seasons at the same time. Maybe there's something to that paranoia that no, they must be down in order for us to be up. With Oklahoma and Texas seems a little different. Both seems they can be up at the same time, but the Aggies, it's weird the way it works that way.
And Rod, and it's true. And I've always said about the rivalry, and now that it's back, that is the one thing that it keeps it from being, I think, nationally looked at as a great rivalry. Because look, when Nick was on his run at Alabama. People, Auburn's probably the most underappreciated program for what they did during that time, too. They won a national championship. They played for another national championship and had unbelievable Iron Bowl games where a lot mattered for both teams. Florida State in the 90s, right, with Bobby Bowden and Steve Spurrier. Florida State, Miami. Michigan, Ohio State. A&M kind of needs to pull their weight. Mm-hmm. In this series, in this rivalry moving forward, because the rivalries become great nationally when both people are having success.
Yep.
It's not going to be looked at, and I'm sure Texas fans are like, who cares? We just want to win. But I'm just saying, from a rivalry standpoint, Michigan, Ohio State carries a different weight.
Yeah.
Florida State, Miami carried a different weight back then. Texas, Oklahoma is different because in football, the winner was always in the national championship hunt or in a now college football playoff under Lincoln Riley, under Steve Sarkisian. Texas A&M needs to pull some of that weight to make this rivalry truly great nationally, in my opinion. And we'll see if they can get it done. But that's what makes Auburn, the Iron Bowl, so great to me is Cam Newton went into Alabama and won the national championship. 2013, Auburn got to a national championship. So Auburn in basketball, Alabama in basketball, Final Fours each of the last 2 years. So they have created unbelievable rivalries because of success of both of them. We'll see if A&M can ever hold up their end of the bargain, because I do think it would make it a better rivalry nationally, people caring about the rivalry more.
To your point, Jerry, this baseball season was supposed to be epic.
Yes.
Right? Because Texas goes to Steel Slosh. You got CDC in the graveyard, hiding out, all that kind of stuff in the offseason. And you got now these two rivals, right, back in the same conference together. And the Aggies were considered to be the best, one of the best teams in the country. And yet they had arguably their most disappointing baseball season where they were number one seed, and they're going to miss number one overall ranking, and they're going to miss the postseason. Has that ever happened? Have we looked at that? Is it the first time that's ever happened?
Yes.
See, that's to your point, Jerry. Like, it's like this was supposed to be a year where you had basically two powerhouse baseball programs, a blue blood going at new blood in that sense with the Aggies, and the Aggies didn't hold up their end of the bargain.
Chris Bennett says Trev Alberts is their Steve Patterson.
Oh,
that one's starting to make the rounds in the Texas fan base. And if that, I see where people are going with that.
Damn. That's cold-blooded right there.
I mean, because look, the baseball hire, that's a hire that was made to keep your players from transferring. Those hires rarely work out.
Yeah. Hey, I want to read this real quick here, just so he can hopefully hear it before the big moment happens. John Center says, my wife's in labor. I'm headed to the hospital. No excuses. I gotta have my coffee and football. Hook 'em.
With that last name, you better be 7 feet tall, and that's going to be a big old kid.
Yeah.
Hey,
you get the helmet for that one, buddy. You get the helmet for that one, John. I'm putting it on for you, brother. So, hey, get your mind right. Getting game set. All right, get your mind set, man. Game mode, baby. Time to go.
Best of luck to you, John. Also, we Grundle Bundle, aka Bobby Petronic, or DBA Bobby Petronic. We need a big high announcement from Jerry Hamilton to expedite the labor process.
That's a good point. That's a good point. By the way, I think we're getting. I haven't put in a high in a while. I think we're getting pretty close to one on my end. So we'll see.
There you go.
Ooh.
All right, Ron, I know you're taking the helmet off, but if you would be so kind as to tell everybody about our sponsor today, John Donovan and Longhorn Wealth Management Group, I'd appreciate it.
Yes, I will. And thank you very much. We appreciate John Donovan and his team for being a part of our team here at On Texas Football. And thank you to our sponsor, John Donovan, president of Longhorn Wealth Management Group. As a proud UT alum, John has served for 15 years as Dallas, Texas Ex's chapter board member, and he is now helping to lead the build out of the Collin County, Texas Ex's chapter as well. John wants to send out congratulations to the newest verbal commitments for the Longhorn football team. As this past week, we saw both Jermaine Bishop and Yaheem Riley commit to Texas. So to celebrate the announcements of these great future Longhorns, John would like to recommend that all OTF fans, all the On Texas football family, take the time now to schedule a free 90-minute private consultation with John to learn how working with a certified financial planner like John can help you commit to securing your own financial future by learning how you can maximize your wealth, minimize your taxes, and ensure your legacy. So take advantage of this free 90-minute consultation. Either call John and his team at Longhorn Wealth at 972-707-4900. That's 972-707-4900, or go online at longhornwealth.net. That's longhornwealth.net to schedule your meeting today. It's time for you to make your own commitment to securing your financial future. Let Longhorn Wealth help you do so. Hook them. And thank you to John Donovan and his team for sponsoring Coffee and Football.
Thank you, Rod. All right, Jerry, recruiting is next. What you got for us?
Yeah, so this is the Texas coaches back on the road. There's some spring games happening this week around the country. You're going to see A.J. Milway, I think, is going to Dia Bell's school. We'll also see some 2027 recruits, Texas staff. Mark Orfave will be back to see Justice Fitzpatrick in St. Thomas. He's putting in some frequent flyer miles. I think he's going to see Devon Benjamin again in California, Samari Matthews again in North Carolina. So he's zigzagging the country. Johnny Nansen expected to be back out in Cali this week. Kyle Flood will be seeing offensive linemen again this week. I think him and Lyle and Clark are seeing Luke Waffle at the Hun School in Princeton today or tomorrow. So Texas coaches back out on the road again. One of the big developments late last week, obviously, was Xavier Griffin backing out of his USC commitment. And he set up his Texas June 13th official visit, which we knew was coming. USC not in the picture. Texas, Alabama, Ohio State are your three. FSU may get an official visit as well. Then you have Braden Rouse, who there was he posted a picture on Twitter, by the way, Blake. I don't know if we can pull up. We have his huddle, though. On short notes. I forgot. He posted a photo, which we'll get to after watching some huddle. Rod, I don't know if you've watched Braden Rouse, but he is a linebacker from Marietta Kell. They're the Longhorns, by the way. You see the orange and white there, Longhorns on the helmet. Kell High School in Marietta. He's 6'3", 215. Has really elevated himself to being one of the top linebacker prospects in the country. He has that 80-inch wingspan, just an elite athlete, can play in space, can rush the passer. He fits that mold that Johnny Nansen's been offering him recruiting. Texas went by to see him last week. Texas, Tennessee, Alabama, and Michigan are the four there. And look, after he had a great unofficial visit last month, and Texas is they're in the fight there. What I would say for Texas on a lot of these guys is they're right there in the fight, whether that's Braden Rouse, whether that's Xavier Griffin, whether that is Justice Fitzpatrick. A lot of these kids that Vodney Cleveland, a lot of these kids that I think Texas leads for Kendall Gurville. Obviously, he said on video with us. A lot of these kids that visited in April, Texas made their move. Drake Quinn, the edge out of Norcross. Texas is positioning themselves really well for their June and July closes here with official visits starting June 6th through 8th. A lot of Texas prospects were making official visits over the weekend. You can go through that. Felix Ojo was at Florida. Mark Bowman was at Ole Miss. Derek Cooper was at Auburn. List goes on and on. A lot of schools are attacking mid-May, early May for OVs earlier. I think seeing where they stand. One of the things that I think we're seeing colleges do, and we're seeing kids go past the 5 official visits to 7, 8 in some cases. A lot of the colleges that couldn't lock up the June officials they want to are just taking a swing in May and seeing if they can really get into the picture. So like a Florida with a Felix Ojo seeing, can they really get into that final 3 and have a real shot on that recruitment, or are they just going to move on? They got them on campus and they're just going to kind of move, okay, we got them on campus. We don't think this is actually going to come to fruition, so we're going to move on. So you're seeing some different recruiting strategies. Georgia has their big weekend last weekend in May to June 2nd. If you look at their visitor list, Texas goes to last. It goes later in June for their biggest weekend. So you see a lot of different strategies in recruiting right now. And if you're a Texas Tech, you're attacking in May. If you're Colorado, you're trying to get kids on campus in May. So there's a lot of different strategies. But Texas, the net they've cast is extremely talented. And their official visitors list, if they fill out 80% of their class from their official visitors list, no matter which way some of those dominoes fall, they're going to end up with a top 5 class again, because that's just the talent level that's going to be on campus in June. And then we also have to remember that it doesn't finish up there. I could see D-line recruiting going into the season as it did last year. I could see a couple of wide receiver recruiting maybe doing similar in a weird way in this cycle. We'll have to see. I think some kids will make decisions obviously before, but are they really going to be final decisions? So I could see this recruiting at a couple of positions really playing out into the season. But Rod, Braden Rouse, pretty talented guy.
Yeah, I like him. He can cover at linebacker. He's comfortable in space, and he can rush the passer on the edge, which seems to be something Texas is coveting more. The off-ball linebacker that also has that added value of being a guy that can come off the edge and be a passer. And he's got ball skills. He's got ball skills. They line him up at tight end. And I've seen him make some really, really, amazing catches, like outstretched diving catches at the tight end position. So he's got ball skills and he can cover for a linebacker that, usually they don't cover well. Like they're just not really comfortable in space. To find a linebacker that can also rush the passer off the edge and be comfortable covering in space, that I'm with you. That's rare. That's a rare combination skill set at the off-ball linebacker position. Usually those guys are liabilities in coverage. He's not necessarily a liability in coverage. Obviously, if he's on a wide receiver, it may be something, but against a tight end or running back, he looks like he's perfectly capable of covering those guys in space.
No doubt.
And Jerry, I got the picture here. I'm trying to get it up for you. I know you wanted to show everybody. Give me just a second. Boom. There we go.
Yeah, got vertical. We got vertical, Rod.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's explosive, man.
He's explosive athlete.
Explosive athlete. You can tell. How tall is he?
6'3", about 215, 212, 215. I think he might have been 212 on this visit to Texas.
He's long. I see somebody say Keenan Robinson mold. I kind of like that.
That's not bad. That's
not bad. Yeah, it's not bad.
Obviously, basketball commitment too. Louis Obiora, 7'1" center from London, commits to Texas over the weekend. How much you see him this year, I don't know. I really like the take. I really like where the kid's going to go as a prospect. This Texas basketball roster, feel free to ask questions. It's going to be the tallest roster in the history of Texas basketball. I mean, the guys that Sean Miller took out he's added to the program this year, or since he was hired, 7'1", 7 foot, 6'10", 6'8", 6'7", a 6'4" combo guard. And then kept John Clark in the mold, who's 6'8.5", 6'9", wherever he actually measures out without shoes. Texas has the tallest, longest limb basketball team I've ever seen. Now, does that mean they're going to be the best team? No, it doesn't. But what it does mean is Sean Miller took the job and looked at Florida and looked at Alabama, and he knows exactly what he's got to build, because those are your not to take anything away from Auburn or Rick Barnes. Rick Barnes has a style of play. Auburn has their style of play. But the year in, year out consistency of Nate Oates and Todd Golden, I think as long as they're in the SEC conference, those are the guys you're kind of going to look at and say, okay, I've got to deal with those guys, because they also have the wide open NBA offenses. One of them runs through the post some, more so at Florida than Alabama does. But Sean Miller's come in and addressed what he needs to address to, I think in their mind, compete interior, holding up in the paint, rebounding, limiting second shots, protecting the rim against what a Florida and what an Alabama are going to do to you year in and year out, and where you got to go. And I mentioned this last night on live stream, but I was at Dia Bell's school Wednesday at American Heritage, and Raja Bell walked up. He was just there to watch a little spring practice, and we were talking about Dia, and we were talking about his son Ty, who 2028 guard, who's a stud, who Florida State and Purdue, I think Florida State offered for sure. Texas is already watching him, and he thinks Sean Miller is a tremendous hire. He thinks the guy's a really good basketball coach. So, I think Sean Miller is on the right track there. They have one spot left for sure. They're going to fill. It'll be a guard spot. It will be somebody. It's going to be a culture fit and a multi-year player, in my opinion. I don't think it's just going to be a chase talent situation. I think it's going to be this is a build of a program and a culture, like all programs are, like all coaches do when they get the new programs.
I'm actually going to talk to Sean Miller tomorrow for Third and Longhorns. So, you guys got good questions for the coach. Throw them out there, because I'm going to do my research for the interview today. So, let me know.
Hey, speaking of questions in basketball, Jerry, Rob Infield wants to know, what are the three-point shooters looking like for Texas this upcoming season?
Well, I mean, Jordan Pope is a 37, 38% guy. Tremont Mark I think he'll shoot in the 35, 36% range. Camden Heidi's going to be around a 40% three-point shooter in my estimation. The big thing is for Texas is going to be I think Dalen Swain will make his natural progression. If he gets up to 33, 34%, he's probably going to be a first-round pick at that point, because the rest of his game is so solid. He's already being mocked in the first round by some people, and he's 6'8" doing it, and he's a really skilled kid, sees the floor well. Simeon Wilcher is going to be a key there, because if you look at Rick Pitino, even if you look at the 3-point percentage of Wilcher last year, it wasn't good. Even Rick Pitino, in multiple quotes around St. John, said this guy can really shoot the basketball. I need him shooting it more from three. He just didn't have a really good season shooting a three. I think he's going to probably make a pretty big jump from year 2 to year 3 in college basketball. And if he gets up into that 35, 36, 37 range, I think Pitino thought, based on talking to a couple of people, maybe 37, 38 was what they thought he should be. If he gets into that area code, then Texas is going to be all right there. They may be one guy away as far as just a catch and shoot guy, but with the offense Sean Miller's going to run, I think they're going to be okay there because I think what they're going to have is more balance in their offense.
Good stuff. Okay, guys. A hot topic in the chat, and I know we're going to talk about Nick Saban's comments here in a moment. But people want to know if either of you saw Tommy Tuberville's comments over the weekend about Texas, and I actually found a direct quote. He's talking about NIL, of course. He's discussing it with CBS Sports, and he says, you're going to eliminate 90% of schools because they don't have the money. Look at Texas. Nobody's ever going to beat them again if we allow them to keep going the way they're going. Again, I've got nothing against Texas, but they're going by the rules, but we've got to hopefully make it work out.
Look, that's hyperbole, obviously. It's hard to win a national championship in football, period, now, especially when we go to 16 team playoff. It's hard to win in basketball. You got to win 6 games in a row, even if you get through a regular season. You got to win regional, super regionals, college World Series, and baseball. So it's hyperbole. But look, it's going to be interesting to see what happens, Rod. I do think there needs to be some guardrails here. And I want to get – it's maybe more to what Kirby Smart's been talking about a little bit, which we'll get to in a few minutes. But I do think it's kind of sour grapes a little bit because I'll say this. If you followed SEC recruiting for a long time –
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I used to call it car house recruiting, okay? It's like –
that's kind of what I would have get to. I'm like, man, come on now. And he just says they're going by the rules. Texas is not doing anything sinister. There's no there's no shady stuff going on. These are the rules, and Texas is just really good. Listen, the Aggies have the same, and they don't have. I don't know if they got the same amount of money, but the Aggies got a lot of money. The Aggies got a ton of money. They spend a ton of money. And you don't have the same result. We just got done talking about that. So, yes, the money helps. It always does. But you also have to make the right hire the right coaches. Those coaches have to be really good at delegating and developing talent. Hell, we saw before Texas was bringing in more talent than anybody else in the Big 12. They weren't winning the Big 12 every year.
No.
They're the most talented team in the Big 12 every year. That was part of y'all's frustration. Even Oklahoma didn't have, based on recruiting rankings, didn't have the talent that Texas had year after year, yet they dominated the conference. Now that your financial status, all right, Texas, all that financial support they've had over the years, now they can weaponize it. That is, part of it. The Aggies can weaponize it, so can everybody else around the country. But Texas has also, I think, maximized that advantage where the teams like the Aggies or programs like the Aggies have not maximized that advantage. So yes, it is a tremendous advantage. There's no question. And there needs to be some guardrails and needs to be more, oversight of NIL. And I agree with that. No question. But right now, Texas and CDC and Kevin Neltike behind the scenes, and they've just done an amazing job of maximizing this NIL advantage.
Rod, you hit the nail on the head for me. It doesn't matter how much money you have to spend in NIL. If you don't hire the right coaches, you aren't going to see the results. Bottom line, it doesn't matter. This business is still about, does your AD hire the right coaches? Does the coach you hire put the correct staff together? And then do you go out and evaluate it really well and develop those players? At the end of the day, the process is still the same. Texas, you could be making this quote and it could be going the other way. Texas, with all that money, is not winning. Well, why would that be? They hired bad coaches. Maybe they didn't have a good athletic director and things were a mess. So at the end of the day, this is still all about the same thing. No matter if you have a lot of money, it can go one or two ways. If you have a really good AD and everybody's pull in the same direction and you hire really good coaches and those coaches know who to hire on their staff to maximize their job, then you're going to have success at a place like Texas. But we've seen it go the other way.
Yep.
And it wouldn't have mattered how much money there was. If you aren't winning and the kids don't like the product, they're going to pass up your NIL deal to go somewhere that somebody's winning. Bottom line.
Yep. And then remember, we saw, I believe that was last week when they put out the graphic about severance spending for the athletic department, severance spending, and football severance spending in the SEC. And ultimately, the Aggies have, I believe, damn near triple the amount of severance spending than most universities. And now they're talking about adding on to it because they want to fire the baseball coach. Yeah. But for a while, Texas was in that conversation too. Thank you very much. Thank you, Blake. But that's because of bad decisions they've made in hiring coaches. The Aggies got a lot of money. Yeah. And the Aggies got a lot of money. The Aggies ain't broke. They got a ton of money. They just haven't spent it as wisely as Texas. And then going back to Jerry's point, those coaches that do hire haven't been able to delegate and develop as well as they, need to. So listen, it is an advantage. There's no doubt about that. It would be, I think, for Longhorn fans, it'd be a little naive to say that these great recruiting classes Texas bringing in isn't a result of NIL. It is, but even Coach Sark has said it's not going to be the thing they lead with in recruiting.
Correct.
And because he understands the toxicity of it. If that's the top priority for the coaches and the top priority for the players, if it's NIL that you're leading with, and that's the main thing, then you're probably going to go down the wrong path.
That's right.
You'll be misled. And so Sark understands it. Sark has done a good job of understanding that, we got a money advantage, but money doesn't necessarily it's not always equal to success. If you don't know how to handle that advantage that money gives you. And I think Texas has done a good job of being able to handle that advantage.
Yeah, and I think Sark's done a really good job of that. And we've talked about this. The more he's won, the more kids he can get on campus. The more kids you can get on campus, the better evaluations of fit you can make. And I think that is so important because, look, Texas has turned down some really good players.
Yep.
Nick Saban turned down a lot of 5 stars at Alabama and got the 5 stars and the players he wanted and some of those developmental guys he wanted because he had the ability to get anybody he wanted on campus. And when you have that ability, you get to sit down with the kid and the parents. You get to watch them work with your coaches. You get to see how they respond. You get to have them around your players and get feedback from your players. Texas is in a great position to evaluate well because of how many guys they're getting on campus. Like all these kids, just think about this. And I'm not saying the guy's not a tremendous player because I think he is. Texas gets Cameron Hamil on campus, tremendous nickel prospect, defensive back prospect. I think visited Penn State over the weekend. They went with Yaheem Riley at the same spot. Not ranked as highly nationally, but I think they think he's a really good fit for them. And that's what happens when you get more guys. And that doesn't mean somebody won't go on to be a great player somewhere. I want to say this. I said this when Javian Osborne and Texas went separate directions. Javian Osborne's a tremendous player. I don't care where he signs, tremendous player. But that doesn't mean, and I'm not saying Osborne, but I'm just saying you have all these guys get on campus. You have a chance to find the best fits for you. And I think that's so important because it's not collecting talent, it's still building a team. But now it's harder to build a team than ever because you have to build it through NIL. And now you have to really decide who wants to be part of the program and fit in the program versus who wants the best NIL deal. And that's a tough place to be for college coaches. And I think coaches in general, but really right now in college, because Texas could add 2 or 3 more highly recruited guys to their class every year than what they do. But they're not doing it because they don't think they're the best fits. And I think that's so important. I think that's the hardest thing to do as you have success is maintain building team versus just collecting talent. Because the more success you have, Rod, the more guys that want to put on the uniform. But do they want to put it on for the right reasons?
That's the culture. Yeah, you got to recruit guys who come to play for Texas, don't come to play at Texas. And there is a difference. A big one.
Yep.
All right, well, we'll talk about the Saban comments in just a moment. But first, Jerry, man, I'll let you tell everyone today about one of our other sponsors, Ridge.
Perfect time to talk about a Ridge wallet, isn't it? Wow. Look, this is Bobby's favorite, man. Every time he reads the read, he has the Ridge wallet up on the screen so people can see it. Look, man, here's the reality. Memorial Day weekends aren't meant for backyard barbecues and relaxing, but it can be hard to relax with a giant clunky old wallet weighing your pants down. Ridge Wallet is the slim, sleek upgrade your pockets have been begging for. Look, we've all been there, hauling around the wallet that feels more like a cinder block than an accessory. That's a bad feeling, man. It jacks up your back. You're always sore. It's bulky, awkward, and it's not doing that lower back any favors at all. That's where Ridge Wallet comes in. Ridge Wallets are ultra slim, effortlessly sleek, and surprisingly spacious. It holds up to 12 cards plus cash, all without turning your pockets into a lumpy mess. It slips right into your front pocket and practically disappears. And don't let that slim profile fool you, though. This thing is tough. Crafted from premium materials like titanium and carbon fiber, it's built to handle whatever life throws at us. Plus, it comes with built-in RFID blocking tech to keep your card info safe from digital pickpockets. Ridge is so confident in their quality, they offer a lifetime warranty. It's literally the last wallet you will ever buy. For a limited time, Ridge is having a crazy sale. Get up to 40% off your order by going to ridge.com/ontexas, all caps. With over 50 colors and styles, Ridge Wallet isn't just functional, it's also very personal. Whether you want that sleek black forged carbon fiber, a wallet that features your favorite NFL team, or one that just matches your vibe, they have you covered. Again, right now, Ridge is having a huge Memorial Day sale. Get up to 40% off at ridge.com/ontexas. Just head to ridge.com and that /ontexas to see the biggest sale of the year. After the purchase, they will ask you where you heard about them. And then you say on Texas, supporting the show, supporting Bobby Burton in the Ridge Wallet.
And I'm also going to tell you about Huel today. If you're constantly on the move or you're just tired of skipping meals, Huel has you covered. Their Black Edition Ready to Drink is a total game changer. It's a complete meal in one bottle, 35 grams of protein, 27 vitamins and minerals, high fiber, low sugar. You're going to feel full, focused, and ready for your day. Best part is there's no prep, there's no cleanup. You just grab it and go. And Huel's already sold over 500 million meals around the world, and now it's your turn to try it. New customers get 15% off plus a free gift at Huel.com. You use promo code ONTexas. And my mornings are very hectic, and that's where Huel Black Edition comes in. It's my absolute go-to. Just grab it out of the fridge, give it a good shake, and I'm ready to go. And they also have multiple flavors, so you never get tired of the same flavor day in and day out. So start saving time and money without compromising your nutrition today with this exclusive offer for new customers. You're going to get 15% off, like I said, plus a free gift, which is very nice, by the way, using promo code ONTexas at Huel.com. That's Huel, Huel.com. Please see the description for the terms and conditions. Skip the stress, not the nutrition. Try Huel today for complete nutrition bottled. Well, we looked at Tommy T's comments. Yes, Grundle Bundle. This is a Texas baseball diamond shirt. So let's take a look at Nick Saban's comments, guys. He was recently on Paul Feinbaum, and he had a couple that I wanted to bring up here. First, he's talking about the NIL commission. He says, I don't know a lot about the commission, first of all. Second of all, I don't think we really need a commission. And then he also goes on to say, I don't think it's in the best interest of the players to necessarily be employees. And I think authentic NIL is good for players, but I don't think pay for play is necessarily what we want.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the compromise here, right? He says that NIL is good for the players. He doesn't think pay for play is essentially the revenue sharing, I guess, would be the kind of maybe his part of his definition of pay for play. And he has already stated that he doesn't think commission is necessary, and he doesn't want to be the co-commissioner of anything. Like, he doesn't want to be the commissioner of this new committee that the president potentially may be putting together to review college sports, and he just wants to assist whoever wants to take on, that monumental task. So yeah, I mean, I don't know where Saban really stands now on it. He's not taking a hardline stance. It's a very political kind of comment by him. He's like
I think Nick Saban is very smart dude, and I think after all this stuff got out, he sat back and thought about it and said, I don't want this to be part of my legacy.
That makes sense.
My legacy is secure.
Yeah.
I don't want this to become part of my legacy. I would just want to go play Jupiter Hills and the Medalist and Grove 23. I just want to play some golf, and then I'll talk about college football and talk about the NFL draft for $5-6 million a year. I think that's a smart play by him. I think he can have a voice through ESPN, but I don't think he wants this to be part of his legacy. That's where I come out on all this, because once that started getting out and it started building,
yeah, he's
going to be the voice of the commission. I don't know if he wants that to be part of his legacy. His legacy is pretty secure right now.
Nah, you're right, because he backpedaled pretty quickly. It was like, one report was he's going to be co-commissioner, and he's like, nah, I don't even like the commission. We don't need a commission. I don't want to be a part of that commission. And I think NIL is good, but I don't want pay-for-play. Yeah, he put himself firmly straddling the fence. It was like, I'm out. I'm out of it.
Yeah, I'm out. I'll just talk about it on TV, but don't make this part of my legacy. He's too smart for that.
He is good. You know what? Go ask Mac Brown. Mac Brown might do it for you. Mac Brown's been back. Mac's always been passionate about college sports and the state of college sports, even at Texas. I think also sometimes to the detriment of Texas. He didn't like the fact that Texas you could build your support staffs, and there was no regulation on it, and nobody around the country could do it. He was actually arguing against that. I remember Mac saying openly that you should openly snitch on other coaches, because he was saying that all the coaches know who's cheating. He's like, we all know who's cheating. We all know who's doing it, and we should go. Coaches should go out there and they should let the NCAA know who is cheating. Mac was big about removing corruption from college sports. So maybe reach out to Mac. Mac got a passion for it. He's got some free time. Just throwing it out there. He'd be a good co-commissioner, because Mac has always been a great politician. Mac got elected in Texas. Y'all know that. If he'd have ran Mac, Tuberville, nobody liked Tuberville. If Mac ran, Mac would have got elected, because Mac's good at that.
Rod, I've actually always like maybe the best compliment I could give Mac Brown, because of his amazing memory recall, which is the ability to get votes. I think the guy could have ran for anything and almost won in his heyday. I mean, if you gave him a year to prepare and study up, I think he could got at the highest levels of politics and got a lot of votes, man.
I agree with that. Yeah, he's a natural.
He's a natural at it.
He's always been a natural.
You have that memory recall like he does, that takes you a lot of places, man.
Yep.
That endears you to a lot of people.
I had a couple of other super chats this morning I want to get to. This one from Drew Lockhart. He says, Scotty as a guest, is that possible? Drew, I think we would love to have Scotty as a guest. We'll have to see what we can do there. But
by the way, so congrats to Scotty Scheffler, third major for him, 2 Masters PGA now, ties Jordan Spieth for the most of any player in Texas history as far as professional majors. 6 Texas golfers have won majors. Obviously, Crenshaw, a couple of Masters in there as well. But Scotty Scheffler has 3 now, and I think he's on his way to probably 6 or 7. The question will be, does he end up getting the Grand Slam? He's talented enough to do it. He's mentally tough enough to do it, because yesterday was a great round for him. And for those that watched, because driver was going left, and John Rahm was making a run, and it was kind of teetering a little bit, and it shows you why he's going to continue to have one of the better careers in golf, I think. Is because he pulled it together when he absolutely had to pull it together to go win a major. And guys like that normally go on to have those 6, 7, 8 major careers and maybe win a Grand Slam.
And then we have a super chat here from, if I can bring it up, Jerry's Jack Links. Thank you for the super chat.
Yeah.
Says, congrats, Abby and the Burton family.
Yeah, like
Big
that.
deal.
Big
Big
time.
deal for the family. That's awesome.
Yeah, definitely. And then another super chat here from Jack. Jack, we appreciate you as always. As Rod B prepares, I'll go ahead and read it. He says,
2 helmets today.
Yeah, OTF is the best site for many reasons, but the direct info we get on recruits is a big one. Jerry, when will you and or CJ start going west to look at recruits?
Probably during the season. Probably a little bit during the season this year, I think, is the plan. So we'll see who wins the coin flip there.
And then one other one for you, Jerry. This one from Major Alexander. Thank you, Major, as always. Jerry, have you seen, and I'm probably going to butcher this name, Tano Wooten at Colleen Shoemaker? Kid is a dog. You might want to check him out.
I've not seen him, but I will. I know he's a 2028 guy. I will. I know the head coach over there, so I'll make a call.
And MP Houston also put your super chat earlier when we were talking about the Aggies. I wanted to thank you for yours as well. All right, that's all the super chats right now. One other thing I wanted to bring up before we got to some more questions is ESPN put out they ranked the top 10 coaches essentially. And I'm not going to bring the whole article up, but I did put it in table form so everyone can see it. We'll start with number 1, Kirby Smart. 2's Ryan Day. Dabo 3, Marcus Freeman 4, Sark 5, Dan Lanning 6, Kalen DeBoer 7, James Franklin 8, Kyle Whittingham 9, and Matt Campbell rounds out the top 10. But curious to get y'all's thoughts on this.
I think you could argue. You could make the argument for Sark to be maybe ahead of Marcus Freeman, but if you want a national title, in my opinion, I do think that makes you a made man.
Yes.
I get it. Kirby Smart, Ryan Day, Dabo Swinney, those are made men. You want national and still have their teams competitive year after year, right? Making the college football playoff. The Marcus Freeman one, you can make an argument Sark over Marcus Freeman if you want to. You can. I think that would be a good debate. But Marcus Freeman's had a hell of a start.
Oh yeah.
To his time there at Notre Dame, and I like Marcus Freeman. Actually, I think he's a good coach. But Sark, I think Sark. I think some probably would make an argument that maybe Dan Lanning should be over Sark too. I think some people probably would make that argument.
Or Kalen over both.
Yes,
right? Headed into this season. I mean, resume.
My only thing against Sark is it just to because I think Sark. I think it's a great place for Sark to be. Sark's got to be better, in my opinion, in some of those big games. He's got to I think we got to see him break tendency on offense more in big games. And I think we need to see him ultimately in those big games have a more innovative, creative approach. Sark's a brilliant offensive mind. There's no question about that. But I do think you have lost some of that schematic advantage. And you're going to get that when you go up against elite defenses, which you are doing in those big games, Georgia, Ohio State. I would like to see more of a creative schematic advantage. I study a lot of film, watch a lot of film with Sark. And so I know how brilliant the offense is. But I also know that in some of those big games, we have not seen a lot of tendency breakers. And to win big games, you must break tendency at the right time. And that's why in Arizona State or Ohio State and those kind of teams in the postseason can be effectively shutting down your running game and taking away a lot of critical elements of your offense because they've had so much film and sample size. They've had a whole season to watch you and get to know your team, your tendencies intimately, which is why it's so important in those big games at the end of the year that you break tendency. Go watch Super Bowls, go watch playoff games in the NFL. Guys are the coaches that are winning are constantly breaking their tendencies from the season because they're building game plans based on what your patterns are, what your tendencies are, strengths, and you have to be able to use that knowledge against them and make it misinformation and disinformation. And I don't think Sark does that well enough. But that's kind of the last piece. And I'm being nitpicky.
Yeah, I mean, look, these lists are fun because you can change them all around. But the interesting thing is between 4, 5, 6, and 7 is where all the debate's going to be on this list, the most of this debate, right? I think Marcus Freeman, if you said, okay, your first head coaching job, you get to Notre Dame, and you're actually going to get them to a national title game appearance pretty quickly, that's really impressive. He's going to be an issue in recruiting, by the way. Marcus Freeman, I think, is as long as he's at a blue blood, he's going to be a problem for people in recruiting. I'm just here to tell you. Look how he just came out from way back and beat Michigan on JV and Osborne. That just remember that he's going to win some recruitments like that, and he's got some longevity. I think he's a tremendous coach, and I think he's hired good coaches around him. I think he's got a great personality. He's got a lot of juice. You get to Sark, Lanning, DeBoer. I mean, look, DeBoer's the only guy that's played in the national title game of the three. Dan Lanning's first playoff appearance was 31-0 in the second quarter. So it's an interesting list. I think this season is going to be really big from this 4 through 7. Right? It's going to be really big how if we take a look at this list after the season, how could this change? At the top, this list probably only changes if Dabo elevates back to the top. Maybe if Georgia has a rougher season, you start to say, hey, man, are things changing down there? But this 4 through 7 this season, and James Franklin at 8, by the way. I mean, like you said, Rod, once you win a national title, you're made man, and James Franklin takes a lot, and and deservedly so. But if that guy rises up this year,
yeah, you're right.
Because he just got in the playoffs, won games, so he knocked off some of those the naysayers and some of the resume. Let's say he knocked some of that off. He chipped away at it. If he comes back with a great season, then it changes for him. So really, 4 through 8 this year is going to be really big.
I mean, look what Sark did to change his perception in the last 2 years. Sark wasn't even near the top 10 list, 2 years ago. And now in the last 2 years, he has really been able to kind of flip the perception of him as a coach. And now he's on the cusp of being able to get to the promised land and win Texas a national title. So I don't trust James Franklin in big games. I agree with you, CB. But I'll admit, I like the way he is. I like their trajectory right now. Hiring Jim Knowles, man. Jim Knowles is maybe the best defensive mind right now, one of the best defensive minds in college football. Then they hired Colt Tanicki a couple of years ago, and Colt Tanicki brought that explosive, creative offense from Kansas there. And now it looks like, and they got a veteran quarterback. So a veteran quarterback now in the same system for multiple years. Looks like all the pieces are in place. If he disappoints this year, it's going to be hard for James Franklin, in my opinion, maybe to kind of, to change that perception right now of him, that he's not a big game coach. He's a good coach, but he's not a big game coach.
Yeah. So I would say, and some people say, no, Sark should be in the top 3. I think of the coaches on this list, it's the biggest seasons for Dabo Swinney, Kalen DeBoer, because he's at Alabama now, and James Franklin for the reasons you just talked about. And why I think it's big for Dabo is Dabo got dangerously close to letting college athletics zip right by him and being so hard that it was gonna hurt him at Clemson and maybe lead to the fan base turning on him. Then he gets in the playoff. Then he goes to the portal. And now some people are going to have them number 1 preseason. Todd McShay's recent mock draft had 6 Clemson guys in the first round. It's a big season for Dabo because now the expectations are ratcheted back up. At Alabama, second year, didn't make the playoffs last year. I think Kalen DeBoer's a great coach, by the way.
I do too.
I mean, he follows Nick Saban at Alabama. I mean, first of all, you got to kind of have some nads to do that and have a real confidence in yourself. But it's a big season for him because if he misses the 12-team playoff 2 straight years, then that fan base is not going to be on board with Kalen DeBoer. And then James Franklin for the everything you said. It's a huge season for James Franklin's resume. Is he going to become in that top group of coaches?
I love this by Michael here. This comment he made about love Sark. He's a top 2 coaches in the first and second quarter, barely a top 10 after halftime. There is something to that. The third quarter issues for Texas, in the second halves, some of these games, there is something to that of Sark winning the battle of game planning preparation and losing the battle of adjustments. Now, still win the game, but at times maybe losing the battle of adjustments. And I think that's another step to Michael's point in Sark's development. That's why it is, to me, realistic to think of Sark making a huge leap to be in that top 3 coaches because he's still growing, in my opinion, and evolving as a coach. I'm literally watching it. I remember his first year to last year. He's still evolving as a coach and still has some evolution left in him. And I think that is his battle of adjustments, being the chess master. I think Sark is great with the game plan. We know that. Why? Because when he plays Bama in the non-conference, in Michigan in the non-conference, he whips them. And those are great. He went to Bama and did that. Why? Because he got 3 months to game plan and prepare for them. And his teams will be ready. But as the season condenses, well, you only got 5-6 days to prepare. So, hey, I'm really good in that first half. And in the second half, your game plan and preparation is pretty much out the window. And it's pretty much about you adjusting as a coach. And I think that's where he's gotta grow. And I think he will, by the way. I'm not saying he won't. He will. And that will take Texas to the next level, into the promised land.
By the way, so the 3 coaches on that list, the most wins against top 25 ranked teams on that list, Kirby Smart, 23, has more arrests than wins in that time. 23 ranked wins. Ryan Day, 17. Kalen DeBoer, 15. Those are your top 3 in terms of wins against top 25 ranked opponents the last 3 seasons.
Oh, yeah. It's impressive.
Well, we got some more super chats. Jerry Jacklink, thank you again. Sark is a much better football coach than I am, but like Rod B says, play the hits. I wish Sark would more often.
Yeah, I would say Sark doesn't like leftovers. He's one of those guys that doesn't eat leftovers at all. I love leftovers. You know what I mean? So I say there's some great plays in Sark's offense that I'll see early in the game, basically through preparation and game planning in the opening script, and I won't see it again the rest of the game. I'm like, hey, do that play, run that play you ran in the first quarter. See if they can stop it. They didn't stop it then. And I see that all over football, and I don't see it enough from Sark. That's being stubborn, but I will say he is becoming more stubborn about those things. I seen it versus Georgia. Go watch how many targets to motion they had versus Georgia. Georgia couldn't stop targets to motion. Is when you target a player who was in motion prior to the snap at the time of the snap. So he just kept doing it. Yeah, I think they had their highest rate of targets to motion versus Georgia. So he's getting more stubborn about, listen, if they can't stop it, just keep cramming it down their damn throat till they do. Eat more leftovers. Yeah, that's my thing with Sark. So I think that's part of him evolving as a coach, though, and being able to adjust as a coach.
And then we have Rod, get the helmet. Jack with another super chat. He says
he just wants the helmet to come on.
A huge welcome to the world, to our latest Longhorn being born today. Of course, if you're just joining us, we had this from John Center earlier. Wow, we're headed to the hospital. So I assume that's what Jack's talking about there. But thank you, Jack. And again, best of luck, John.
Hey, best of luck, John. Hey, I know you got your mindset. You're in game mode, baby. We're all with you. We need updates, though. Whenever you get some time, I know you're really busy, but when you get time, we like an update.
And then we have a super chat from Splendid Daddy, and he wants to know, guys, could a healthy Texas team beat a UFL team?
Kyle Loxley's playing wide receiver in the UFL, I think. I think I saw that flipping through the channels the other day. So maybe.
That's cool. Yeah, I don't watch enough UFL. I'm not gonna lie to you.
It's still difficult because these guys are 27, 28 years old and have been playing the game a long time, been physically maxed out in their development. I mean, potentially, but definitely not a lock.
Yeah. I don't watch enough UFL. I know the issue with those is Texas will have a better quarterback. Like the issue in those other, leagues that are not, of course, the NFL, even the NFL guys, you don't have 32 caliber high level starting quarterbacks in the NFL. It's hard to play that position at a really high level. So I think the big issue is when I've watched the UFL or the CFL or I'm watching any of those leagues, to me, it's the quarterback position. You don't have elite quarterbacks because if they're elite, the NFL's going to snatch them up, period.
Okay, and that's our super chats. We got time for some more questions here. Brendan wants to know, guys, what's more likely? 2 all-purpose 800-yard backs or 2 800-plus yard receivers? And could both happen?
Oh, that's good. Could both happen. I'm going to say the 800-yard backs seems possible. That seems very possible. And the receiving game is going to be interesting because I think you're going to have more of the deep ball in the offense.
Yes.
So of course, you'll keep the yak yardage, and Sark's big on yak yards. He calls it his run to daylight philosophy. He wants to be able to hit the receivers on the move accurately so you can pick up those yards after the catch. But you haven't had the deep ball accuracy that Sark has coveted in his offense with Quinn. I think you'll have that with Arch, and you'll also have the scramble drill, which will be Arch when he is, avoiding pressure, avoiding sacks, and then the receivers downfield adjusting their routes. I think you'll hit some big plays on that too. So I think you're going to have some easier explosive plays than you had under Sark, having to scheme everything open. I just think you'll have more effective deep ball accuracy and converting some of those plays with Arch. And so it's possible a guy like Ryan Wingo could get to 800 yards pretty quickly, especially if you're talking about playing 16, 17 games. And that's the thing, too. The 16, 17 games, you're going to play that many games. I'm going to say it's very possible. Maybe it's more likely than anything. You're playing that many games. That's a lot of games. A lot of games.
Yeah, to me, the statistical talk comes down to how many games you play, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's really what it comes down to. I do think Texas could. It's all health too. I mean, could have 2 800-yard rushers this season. I think that's certainly possible for Texas. Because I actually think one of the components of Arch at quarterback having more of a downfield passing game. I also think linebacker depth, Rod. It's going to be interesting to see how linebackers play Texas because of Arch's ability maybe to throw it down the field more and his ability as a runner. So if those linebackers have to have a little more depth, that opens up your interior run game a little bit more, in my opinion.
Yep. Okay.
So it all kind of matches and melds together. So Arch can actually help the run game if teams are more worried about him throwing the ball down the field.
Mm-hmm.
It's because I think the linebacker depth has to change in those scenarios. And so that's what's going to be interesting to me, how that can actually help your run game in the run and the calls Sark can make in the run game, the down and distance, the wins, the scenarios, the situations. And then obviously having a QB that's a threat to run the ball changes the game a little bit too. So I think it's going to help the run game. And I do think guard, center, guard, I think they're going to be a little bit more people movers this year. So I think that's going to help the run game a little bit. And I agree with you on the widers. I do think Texas will have 2 800-plus yard receivers this year, and I think it'll be Ryan Wingo and DeAndre Moore.
To your point, Jerry, to your point about the linebackers getting more depth, that's it's an awesome point because I totally agree with you. I wonder if you'll have more quick hitting.
Yes.
Interior runs, right? To hit quick. You can run the outside zone with linebackers to death, but they got time to react to it and get downhill. You hit it quick with linebackers who are 2 yards deeper than they are. You can get, some easy yardage and have your lineman kind of get to that second level. So that's a great point. Which would be more power, kind of gap concepts, more inside zone concepts to hit really quickly downhill to take advantage of those linebackers' depth. I like that, Jerry. It's a good point.
Before we get to our last couple of questions for the day, Rod, would you be so kind to tell everyone about Longhorn Wealth Management Group one last time?
Of course, and we are very grateful to our friend John Donovan and his team for being a part of our team here at On Texas Football. First of all, John is a proud Texas Exes Life member whose wife and 6 siblings are also UT grads. His UT family passion is what led John to brand his firm Longhorn Wealth Management Group and dedicated to providing investment, retirement, insurance, and estate planning services and solutions to Longhorn families and friends across the nation for over 30 years, folks, 3 decades. John wants also to congratulate our UT men's baseball team on clinching their SEC championship this past weekend. Also, congrats to our women's softball team for winning their regional tournament and now hosting their super regional this coming weekend in Austin. To celebrate all of this success and winning and another UT SEC championship, John is offering all On Texas Football fans the opportunity to achieve their own championship for retirement by taking advantage of a free 90-minute private consultation. That's right, folks, free 99. You won't get a better deal than that. John wants you to learn how working with a certified financial planner like John can help you maximize your wealth and minimize your taxes and ensure your legacy, all parts of a championship retirement. So make sure you reach out to our friend John today. You can either call John and the Longhorn Wealth team at 972-707-4900. That's 972-707-4900. Or you can go online at longhornwealth.net. That's longhornwealth.net to schedule your free 90-minute private consultation with John today and hook 'em horns. And thank you to John Donovan, president of Longhorn Wealth Management Group.
Yeah, Blake, I'm going to hit this real quick. David Roth, I think, came in the show a little late. Any words on the big Brit post player we got? Yeah, Louis Obiora, 7'1", 7'5", 7'6" wingspan. He may actually be 7'1" and a quarter. We'll see if he's done growing, 19 years old. He's a guy that I think year 2 has a chance to be a really good player for Texas because he's got good feet. He's got good timing, blocking shots. He shows an understanding of the game offensively. He makes some – if you watch enough film on him, he makes some really good plays with the ball that aren't scoring plays. He has good touch over his right or left shoulder. Jump shot doesn't look bad, honestly. I kind of wondered about that, and then I watched more of him. He's got a lot of potential. He is a guy that Michigan State was trying to get at the end. Texas beat out Michigan State for him. He's a guy with a lot of upside, But I do think year one, you're going to see is a developmental year for him because obviously Matas is an established guy who was a 10-5 guy in college last year and will be even better in year two. And you have Lucina Traore, who is a banger and a guy who was a double-double guy 2 straight years at Long Beach State before being injured at Xavier last year. So it's a kind of a perfect scenario to play him a little bit, but also develop him. But look, anybody can race right past the expectations. I mean, the guy could come in and with the player development at Texas make some huge jump and be a factor as the season moves along. I'm not saying he can't do that, but I think right now you're looking at more of a getting accustomed to college basketball because it's going to be a lot better athletes than what he was playing against in that league over there, getting adjusted, developing his offensive game, developing his body because he's grown so much. And so year two is what I really look like for him, but I'm not saying a kid can't race past expectations because they do it all the time.
Another super chat, gentleman from Isaiah Stewart. Thank you, Isaiah. What's a bold hot take?
Oh, that's good.
Era?
Oh, that's good. Okay, I'll go with this. Here's one. Bold hot take. Sark wins a championship with Arch. I wish I could say 2, but that'd be hella bold to say he wins back to back or something like that. That'd be nice. But he wins a championship with Arch, and Arch looks so good that at one point, Sark ends up coaching him in the league. Whether they fire their coach, after a year or so with Arch, don't like it, or they decide, you know what, we want the package deal. Y'all look so good. He looks so good in the offense. Sark, you're kind of an NFL guy. You talk about it a lot. We know. Yeah, yeah. Sark leaves after Arch, but to coach Arch in the league because they love the the cohesion between the two, how compatible he is the offense. And Sark runs a pro-style offense, and the Mannings come to love Sark too because of what he does with Arch and his development. So that'd be kind of a bold prediction. Win the national title together in college, and somebody in the NFL has an idea to reunite that offense with Arch in the league.
Gary?
Man, you want a crazy one?
Mm-hmm.
You want a bold one?
Sark
wins the national title with KJ Lacey. If you want somebody to just throw a bold thing out there.
Little okay, I like that. So you say you don't win it with Arch, or you
I'm not saying he doesn't win it with Arch.
Oh, okay. Okay. I like that.
That's the almost that would be the unexpected, like nobody would like go there. So I'll go where nobody else is going to go. You want a bold one.
That's good.
Because it'd be totally unexpected because look, this is what happens, right? What happens, KJ Lacey, ranked really highly. Oh, well, he's 5'11", and yeah, so is Bryce Young. Okay.
That's I like it.
That's the unexpected, right? A guy was ranked really high. He gets chipped away at. What's wrong with him? What's wrong with him? What's wrong with him? What if he just happens to be really damn good?
I've heard good things, actually.
We'll see. Somebody wanted a bold prediction. There it is.
Oh, 3 consecutive Heismans. That would be awesome. That'd be great. That'd be good.
All right. Here's the bold one. Mark says Sark hires an offensive coordinator.
You know what? That would be bold because, that conversation has come a few times and nobody thinks it's going to happen. They assume Sark would rather, leave and go to another job than that happen. But if the offense can't take another step, say you still have red zone issues. Say your red zone offense is still bad. Say your third down offense is still average to mediocre, even with Arch. You know what I mean? Like if that kind of stuff is systemic, I think it'd be, it for Sark not to look at it would be irresponsible. To not look at what would be best for the program. Because there are a lot of coaches, Ryan Day included, there are a lot of Gundy did it. The doctors, they have to look inside and have that man in the mirror moment and go, is me calling the plays what's best for this team right now? Not sure it is. Now, I think Sark right now is what's best. Him calling the plays is what's best for the team. But the Kim Kardashian, Nicki Minaj, Serena Williams size, Cardi B size, Megan Thee Stallion size. But if Texas red zone offense is terrible next season, And like I said, third down offense is bad. And in critical moments, we don't see Sark in big games able to overcome the third quarter woes and the second half woes. You must consider, you must have the conversation at least.
Hey, by the way, I want to say this too, because I do want to add this. I was at American Heritage last Wednesday. People have seen, I think, the interview I did with Dia Bell there that's posted on the YouTube channel. If you haven't, it's good with Dia, as it always is. He looked really good. Like he looked really good. He is, I would say, he got lucky with the injury, right? Dia did in the playoffs, and he's come back really well from that. Looks good. Feet look good. Look really good throwing the football. And I think Dia is going to have a big season if his offensive line holds up for him, because their schedule is brutal at American Heritage. It's a national schedule. So his offensive line is going to have to hold up for him, but he's got speed. He's got players around him, but he looked really good. He looked every bit to his ranking Wednesday. I'll say that.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for today's episode of Coffee and Football, presented by John Donovan and Longhorn Wealth Management Group. I want to thank John, along with Huel and Ridge Wallet, as well, for sponsoring today's show. Of course, thank you all for tuning in. The great questions, the super chats. Just remember, we can't be on here all the time, so head on over to ontexasfootball.com. Join in on the discussion over there, be a part of the growing community. And if you haven't become a member, use promo code OTFOG when you sign up, and it'll save you a little money. You'll be able to lock in an annual subscription for just $49.95, but only if you use promo code OTFOG. And what we got later today, gentlemen?
Oh, well, I think CJ and Jeff Howe have a kind of the weekly look back. Rod, Coach Shipley, CJ on the winning drive. Myself, I'll be talking ball tonight. I'm not sure who's going to be with me. It may be Jeff Howell tonight. Depends on Bobby Burton's schedule. I don't think he'll be there tonight. I think they have graduation party stuff. But I'll be there on Talking Ball. Bring all your recruiting questions. We'll talk recruiting for 45 minutes or an hour. Bring them on. We'll have a lot of fun with it. Watch some huddle on guys. We may just do a lot of huddle watching, talking about guys tonight as well from a recruiting perspective, because last week coaches are on the road. First elite camp's coming up June 1st. And then you have official visit weekend, June 6th through 8th, 13th through 15th, 20th through 22nd. I mean, it's here. I mean, we're a month away from Texas starting to have a really good feel where their class is headed with some of their prospects. And I'm here to tell you, based on what I was told last week, they're still making decisions on some of these guys. And because the board is changing, that's why they're out evaluating these guys one or two last times. And seeing who are the best fits. Sometimes it's not about talent, it's who may be the best fits. Sometimes it is about talent too. But they're still building out some decisions to be made, who they're really going to go all in on. There's a number of guys we know they are, but then there's some decisions left to be made. Big week on the road for the Texas staff.
So we will be back same time, same place tomorrow, and we're supposed to be joined by Coach Mike White,
Awesome.
softball coach, tomorrow morning as well. So be sure to tune in for that. And for Rod Babers and Jerry Hamilton, I'm Blake Monroe, and we'll see you next time.